itself is the Elizabeth Tower, but the bell is Big Ben because the first chief commissioner of the works of the tower was a Welsh MP called Sir Benjamin Hall. He was massive. He was 6'8" and weighed 42 stone. His colleagues said his tummy was the shape of the bell inside the tower, so they named the bell after him, Big Ben. It's getting a bit wonky at the moment, and it's all rusty inside as well, hence the makeover. Rumour has it the workers in there are absolutely shattered. They're working around the clock. I'm here every Sunday, folks. Of that joke, not gonna lie. We'll stick with the left where we've got this black building. This is Portcullis House. It's an extension of the Houses of Parliament. The two buildings next to it, the red buildings with the white stripes going across them, these are the old headquarters for Scotland Yard. Do we have any Sherlock Holmes fans here today? Yes, okay. This is where Sherlock went to collect all his assignments from in the books by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Inside there's a museum, only open to police officers and ex-police officers, unfortunately, but it's got all the police files from the 1718 and 1900s, including all the files from the Jack the Ripper case, London's most infamous serial killer. The building next to it, that white building behind the trees, that's where the new headquarters for Scotland Yard are. So every time you're watching the news and they're interviewing a police officer, they're usually standing outside that building there. The tree in between the two buildings, special branch. The building next to that, the white building with the green roofs and the flags, is the Ministry of Defence. Lots of mysteries around the ministry. I do know a few things though. I know that underneath there's passageways leading directly to the Houses of Parliament. There's passageways leading to 10 Downing Street where Boris lives. There's a nuclear bunker and a 500-year-old wine cellar that used to belong to Henry VIII. Priorities. When the London Eye was first being built, the ministry got really worried that foreign spies would go onto the Eye with telescopes, look through the windows of the ministry and see top secret documents. So they took the London Eye to court. It went all the way up to the High Court, and the judge said, "You're the Ministry of Defence. Just buy some curtains." Problem solved. The London Eye was allowed to be built, and whenever there's a top secret document inside that building, the blinds go down. This fairy tale-like building looks like it could be in a Disney film. This is Whitehall Court. It used to be home to the Liberal Party. It used to be home to MI5 as well, up until the First World War, and then they moved their headquarters upriver. It's now a hotel, the Hall Stars Hotel. They do a lovely afternoon tea in there. They've got a deal on voucher at the moment if anyone's interested, so it's half the price. These are the Golden Jubilee footbridges. I would recommend waving, by the way, as we make our way through bridges. There we go. Yeah, I find when you don't wave, people do tend to throw things at us. So distract us from this friendliness. This bridge as well, the amount of things someone had thrown at me over the years. Over to the left, we've got the oldest thing that you are going to see today, unless you're going to a museum later, the Egyptian obelisk, Cleopatra's Needle. It's about 3,500 years old, so it's older than London. It's older than Cleopatra by about 1,000 years. When it was made, mammoths were still walking the earth. You see the two sphinxes on either side of the needle? They're facing the wrong way. According to ancient Egyptian mythology, they should face away from the thing they're trying to protect. Right now, they're protecting London from the needle. Maybe there's an ancient Egyptian curse on there no one knows about, or the Victorians got it wrong when they installed the sphinxes. We'll never know. Up ahead, we've got Waterloo Bridge. If we have any art fans here today, this is where Banksy did his famous artwork of the little girl holding the balloon. It was on the side of this bridge. They've taken it off. It's now in the Banksy Museum, worth millions and millions and millions. This bridge is also known as the Ladies' Bridge. 80% of its workforce were women, or the men were away fighting in World War II when this was being built. Just saying, this is completely true, I promise. Out of all the bridges in central London, is the only one which was built on time, under budget, and it's made of corn stone. Oh yeah, who run the world? Girls, exactly. Who can argue with Queen Bee? Not me. Amazing. I just did a brilliant job on that bridge. Now we'll go over to the right hand side, and we've got this kind of ugly building with the electronic advertising screen going across it, the Royal National Theatre. There's 3 theatres in there. The largest one is the Olivier Theatre. Great news for theatre fans. It's open again and it's really good value. You can often go there on the day and get £15 tickets to their shows. And a lot of their shows then transfer to the West End and onto Broadway, so definitely worth checking out the shows at the National while the ticket prices are still relatively cheap. A bit of a random fact about the National is that they have about 70,000 bees on the roof to help London's reducing bee population, and they sell honey in the gift shop. But if theatre isn't really your cup of tea, you may be a little bit more impressed by this building on the right. This white building behind the trees is the ITV Studios. So ITV, of course, famous for bringing us lots of cultural TV programmes like Love Island, The Only Way is Essex, Ibiza Weekender, classics. The tall tower block behind it is the London Studios, also loaned out to Sky, the BBC, Channel 4, Channel 5, so we get loads of different programmes from there. This white building with the blacked out windows is where they usually film This Morning with Phil and Holly. The building's undergoing a bit of maintenance, so they're not filming there right now, but generally speaking, that's when it's all done. So we're very often seen in the background of This Morning, which is very exciting. And look at this, our very own 5-star beach resort. Who needs Alicante? Its official name is Gabriel's Wharf. I like to call it the Costa del Thames. Free and open to the public. What more could you possibly ask for? A bit of a random fact about this beach is that lots of gold, treasure, old coins, old jewellery wash up on the shore. So you'll often find people wandering around there with metal detectors looking for pieces of value. It's called mudlarking when they do that. It's a tradition which dates back to Victorian times. In Victorian times though, rich people would get impoverished children to kind of dig around in the sand trying to find things. Nowadays it's a voluntary thing, so it's a bit more humane. We've got this red building on the right with the tower above it, the Oxo building. What? The windows in that tower do not spell out the word Oxo. Advertising alongside the banks of the Thames was illegal in the 1930s when this was built, so Oxo were taken to court for advertising themselves. They argued that they weren't advertising their brand at all. No. The windows were simply made up of 3 completely random shapes. A circle, a cross and a circle, which just happened to light up red, the colour of Oxo at night. And what are the chances? The judge believed them, they got away with it, so that right there is pure genius. The best example of free advertising you'll probably ever see in your life. There's a few bougie shops and cafes in there now. There's flats in the middle, and up on the top where the clear glass windows are, there's a really nice restaurant owned by Harvey Nichols. Really nice food, great service, lovely for a special occasion. A bit pricey though, so maybe not the place to take someone you just met off Tinder, for instance. We've got one of London's newest additions to its skyline here on the right. This really tall building which sticks out at an angle. Its official name is the Address 1 Blackfriars. Most Londoners call it the Kim Kardashian building. If you see it, you see it. It's luxurious flats inside there, really pricey ones. The company that built that had to pay a fine of £29 million to get planning permission, as there's a lack of affordable housing along the rivers. That's the only way they could get permission to build that one there. Making our way through Blackfriars bridges now, all 2.5 of them. This first one is an old Victorian road bridge. What are the mysterious red colours? Well, in the 80s, trains got bigger and heavier. They switched from the old steam trains to the new diesel engine trains. And the bridge that was there couldn't take the weight of the new trains. So they took the bridge off, but realised the pillars were made so well it would take dynamite to blow them up. So they just painted them red and hoped nobody would notice. I now talk about them 8 times a day. They're grade 2 listed, so they're protected. We can't get rid of them now. We'll go back to the left, where we've got St Paul's Cathedral, the largest domed cathedral in the UK, 365 feet tall, 1 foot for every day of the year. Nice, easy way to remember it. Up until the 1960s, this was the tallest building in London. So times have changed a lot since then, as you can see. This one here was finished in 1710. It's the 5th version of the cathedral, built to replace the 4th version, which burnt down in the Great Fire of London in 1666, which was a huge event, which burnt down about 80% of the city. Bit of a random fact about it, you see the cross at the top. Originally, the architect, Sir Christopher Wren, wanted to put a golden pineapple up there instead. But the people wanted something a little bit more serious and religious, so they made him put a cross there instead of a pineapple. He kind of got his way though, because if you look to the left, there's 2 towers there and they've got golden pineapples at the top of them. So everybody wins in this story. You can go inside St Paul's, you can listen in on the service. My favourite thing to do there is up at the top where the dome is, there's a whispering gallery. So if you whisper on one side of the gallery, people on the other side can hear you. It's pretty cool. You might recognise it from Mission Impossible Fallout. Tom Cruise runs around the Whispering Gallery chasing after Henry Cavill. It's also in Harry Potter, Professor Trelawney's office, where the spiral staircase was filmed there. And it's in Mary Poppins, features in the Feed the Birds song. Now speaking of things which are supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, on the right we've got my favourite building in the world. If you do one thing whilst you're here in London, check out Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. The round white building with the thatched roof and the flag. It's an amazing building. You can go there for a guided tour, which I'd really recommend. Their tour guides are brilliant. You can also go there and see a play. Tickets start at £5, so it's a really good value. If you get the £5 ticket, you're standing next to the stage, and they try and make it really fun and interactive, so the actors all walking amongst the crowd. They've got A Midsummer Night's Dream on at the moment. At one point they have everyone swaying and singing, dancing in the moonlight. So it's a really fun night out. I went there once and they gave me a bowl of rotten tomatoes to throw at the actors on stage. It was so much fun. If you had the cheap seats in Shakespeare's day, you were called a penny stinkers. Because you paid 1 penny, you put that penny in a box, that box would then be taken to the office at the back, the box office, and it stank to kingdom come. Nobody ever had a bath, ever. Queen Elizabeth I had a bath maybe once a year if she was feeling particularly fancy. Nobody brushed their teeth, unless they were rich. If they were rich, they would brush their teeth with sugar, and to top us all off, everyone chewed on garlic. All day, every day. They thought that if they chewed on lots of garlic, they wouldn't catch the plague. Whilst it's great for the immune system, not so great for the breath. So it would have been pretty putrid in there. It's a much more pleasant experience, I reckon, going to the Globe today. Now speaking of Mr. Shakespeare, one of his regular haunts-ish was this pub on the right, the Anchor. Claims to date back to 1615. It doesn't. But there has been a pub on the site for the last 800 or so years. The one that Shakespeare went to was called the Castle on the Hope. They do a lovely fish and chips in there if anyone's looking for somewhere nice to go for lunch later. Huge portion sizes, award-winning. Beware though, I've heard that the pub is haunted. I've seen many spirits behind the bar. Ooh. Now this whole area on the right hand side here, this is Southwark. And in Shakespeare's day, this was party central, the Las Vegas of 1599. What happened in Southwark stayed in Southwark. There was lots of drinking, gambling, bear baiting, theatres, pubs, pirates, and yo-ho, there be a pirate ship. Can I get your best arr? Chivalry timbers. Yes, me hearties on the right of Sir Francis Drake's Golden Hind. That ship right there has sailed the equivalent of going around the world twice. The original sailed around the world once from 1577 to 1580, and the captain, Sir Francis Drake, brought back £25 million worth of gold and treasure, which he'd stolen from the Spanish and Portuguese. He gave it to Queen Elizabeth I. She used it to clear our national debt 3 times over. Sir Francis Drake was then given a knighthood and a £10,000 reward, despite the fact that he was a pirate. Crime pays. If you learn nothing else today, you can take that away with you. There were some fearsome rules on board a pirate ship. Rule number 1, bedtime at 8 o'clock sharp. Rule number 2, everything had to be decided democratically. Rule number 3, no gambling or fighting. And if you disobeyed any of the rules, you'd be marooned on a desert island with nothing but a pistol. Now, I just want to check something out, so I've got a bit of a challenge. So everybody put your hands up, okay? Hands up, I'll see you. All right, on the count of 3, who can point to London Bridge? 1, 2, 3, point. Oh, hands going everywhere. Okay, mixed reactions. Everyone pointing behind us. Congratulations, you are officially a genius. 10 points to Gryffindor. Oh yeah. The pretty bridge up ahead is Tower Bridge. Don't worry if you confuse the two, it's fine. Most people do. Even Google Images gets that wrong. And anyone knows the singer Fergie from the Buff Eyed Peas?